It's episode 14.
Hello.
Vision denial. Moment of silence for what would be, I can say, the worst team to have played at Worlds in the at least recent history.
By comparison of their top potential.
Sure, no, I mean in general.
Oh, you even okay? Just in general? Wow. All right.
Just in general. I'm got no niceties today.
Sure, that's
So
fine.
This was day 7 of groups. The penultimate day. Whew, was it sad? My name's Sebastian. I'm joined here by Josh and Connor.
Hello.
Hello.
We're a couple of friends who decided that if an NAEU or minor region team make it through, then we'll get their jerseys. Caveat: TSM, FNatic, and G2 need to make it to semis for us to get their jerseys. One of those is no longer an issue.
And it's not FNatic. Oh boy. Well, let's just dive right into the day with the game that essentially locks down all hopes of NA people, and I'm pretty sure this is when all NA people turned off the streams. FNatic versus TSM. FNatic on blue side. We've got FNatic first picking a Graves into a Camille Senna. Then they round out their draft with a Braum Volibear. Then TSM answer with a first pick Camille. Did I say Camille earlier? I meant Orianna. So they have Orianna Senna, not Camille Orianna. Not Camille Senna. So yeah. TSM first picks Nidalee Camille. And then they round out their draft they round out the first half with a Galio. And then they round out their draft with a Leona Jhin. Honestly, the FNatic pick was a bit weird in terms of the bot lane. I really don't like Senna and Braum. But I guess it didn't matter in the end since they won fairly handily.
Here's the one nicety I'm going to say about TSM for the entire day.
Mm-hmm.
This was a good pick. This is a good pick.
Yeah, their comp looks really good.
It does. I think it's really... And here's where the niceties end. Why the fuck did it take you to round 2 to ban Ornn? Why did you ban Thresh in round 1? Why didn't you ban Thresh in round 2? Why did you take the risk for this? Why did you really wait for FNatic to pick what I think is a god-awful pick composition that requires them to snowball?
Yeah, I mean, the Orianna Graves has been played a lot together because I think I've said this in earlier episodes too. It's like Orianna plus Graves guarantees the two of them combined can burst anything that's not an Ornn.
Yep.
Right? The idea is the two of them combined in the same spot, you just double out the same person and they die.
Yep.
Why it's good together. But yeah, but their comp is ulti just burst. It doesn't have really the sustained damage, you would think, but game goes out. Volibear gets way ahead.
It's really... there's aspects of this that I think... I saw this pick and I went, oh, TSM's going to win this game. And then I said... I was like, there's very little damage on FNatic's comp. Super hard to execute. Very strong, simple, one-minded comp by TSM.
It literally all relies on Orianna and Graves popping off.
Yep.
But they did.
And they did.
And they stole every dragon and got the earliest possible Ocean Soul.
I can't...
I would have got a 22-minute Ocean Soul. That's about that.
Why was TSM so afraid to do anything?
Because this is... Sorry. Okay, we're not getting into this right now. We'll talk about it at the end of the day. But, this is TSM's brand, and I hate it so much. And that's why I'm so hard on them, because they do this every year.
I want to point out, though, after the post-game analysis, Yamato said that FNatic is probably the best Western team. And given the fact that none of the European teams know how to draft... I'm going to say that right now. Their execution on their drafts, FNatic is the best one out of it. I would have to 100% agree with Yamato and say yes, Fnatic is the best Western team at
I
the
think
tournament.
G2 would take that title if they were just more respectful and like took things more seriously, but they don't.
But
Yeah.
exactly.
Like you could say Fnatic's more consistent overall, but if your question's like who is more likely to take a game off of top esports in
Between
a best of 5,
Fnatic and G2,
probably G2 because
G2, yeah.
right, like, yeah. But
I gotta say, how TSM has no concept of target selection in their team fights.
Yeah, probably not.
they're very split up. Yes,
I didn't
it
have
seems
much
to
time
be-
to watch many of the games today, but I definitely watched this one. And oh my God, did I spend a couple minutes here and there throughout the day just checking the different social media posts that they were doing? Oh my God. Like, some people are being a little bit too melodramatic about things, like extra and all that. But at the
Like
same
they do.
time, like, I don't know. I feel like it might have just been better for TSM to not like say anything today. Like, I think they should have maybe just stopped posting after their match or matches or whatever and just like gone dark for the day. Like, just go home. Like,
well, that's not really our place to say, or
It's also not how marketing works, unfortunately.
yeah.
I know, but like at the same time, it's like how can you claim to be the best Western organization or the best NA organization if you flop this hard almost consistently? You know what I mean?
Has there ever been an international tournament that TSM participated that was Riot sanctioned that they did well?
That one MSI.
They didn't win MSI.
That one MSI. Not they won MSI. That one MSI. There was an MSI where they made it to like quarters or whatever.
Wow, that's not an achievement.
Again,
It's better than the usual result, but yes.
I'm just saying, like, I get it. And like
Yeah.
to me it's frustrating, and like this is kind of the big
Mhm.
baggage of like why I'm so upset at TSM all the time. Is because like well actually, you know what? We'll pocket this because I'm sure we'll talk about this later at the end of the day. But
Yeah.
there's lots of problems with TSM, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
But for
this
this game-
game is just sad. Connor, do you have
It's
any cool stats you want to maybe throw our way, make us feel better about it?
No
well, you
stat.
could see like TSM was mostly split up. Like they weren't, as Seb said, on the same page with like, hey, we're gonna, jump on the Graves when he goes in or anything like that. They're kind of just playing on the back foot, and then because Fnatic was more on the same page, they'd be like, okay, let's burst the dragon, or let's jump on the Galio as soon as he ults in, like retreat, and then everybody just CC and burst the Galio as soon as he jumps. Like Fnatic was actually making the calls, and TSM was like, okay, retreat. Well, it's not really a call.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next game then. LGD versus Gen.G. It goes the way you think it will. Gen.G wins.
But
it was a good game, I think, still, for the most part. Right, Connor? Or are you going to say something else?
no, but like that ending. Like I know I'm jumping ahead, but like
It was pretty good.
that was probably better than like the G2 game or like the base race. Like that was
I'd say so.
super cool at the end there.
But anyway, LGG on blue side, they first pick a Renekton, followed up by a Lilia, Orianna. And then they finish their draft with a Jhin Pantheon. Gen.G first pick a Senna Nidalee combo, followed up by a Volibear, the counter to Renekton. And then they round out their draft with a Azir Tom Kench.
Wow, I want to point out, red side banned Ornn. Wow, how easy. It's like it's two button presses. Anywho, LGG, I gotta say, my only biggest issue with this draft is literally their bot lane that they picked. They went and picked a burst with very little sustained damage to it.
Without banning the Kench. Because like if Kench wasn't there, maybe it would have worked out a bit better. But
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still think that they would have probably had a better chance if they picked Caitlyn.
Or Ash. Ash was also
Ash.
open.
Yep. I want to note, just since we're mentioning this draft, every team today, and I've actually noticed it has been a trend, has banned Callista against Gen.G. And
That makes sense. Rulers are
yeah.
crazy.
Yep. I was saying, yeah, that is one of his main champions that he played in like summer and stuff. So like,
Yeah, he keeps
that makes
picking it
sense.
up even when it doesn't make sense.
Yep. It's just cool that like he's been drawing that extra ban no matter what the game is. Like, everyone's like, oh, can't give them Callista. So it's a strength for sure to have.
I gotta say though, this is a very I don't hate Gen.G's comp, but it's very complicated. And usually, if it was like a lower tier team, I would say, I don't like this. But they've shown consistently that they're in like a high enough bracket for this to make sense. And it has a lot of disengage and answers everything that LGD wants to do. So it's fine. It's just, again.
Yeah, it's a fair bit of magic damage.
Yep. And I think there's enough AD options that exist within Volibear and Senna for it to not completely fall off the face of the earth. And there's no tanks.
Yeah. Renekton can't build tanky as good as Volibear can, so it's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
I gotta say, Peanut is the crux of why LGD can't go forward.
Yep.
In this tournament.
I agree. Kick him, honestly. Like as much as he used to be really good in the past, frig man, that guy's a liability.
I think he's just not good on this team. Right? Like
so we saw he looks good when his team plays around him and when his team is spending the time enabling him. But what we've seen a lot lately is like, sure, we have a lot of power farming junglers and stuff in meta, but they're still kind of being like, okay, let's get myself ahead in CS, but I'm just like a fourth lane per se. Like me getting ahead is not, you know, a bigger deal than like top lane getting ahead or anything, right? Like, so yeah, he looks good when his team's playing around him and supporting him, and you know, he has like his support coming in to help him invade and stuff. But like most any jungler would if they're right. So
yeah.
Also, wasn't Peanut one of the people, like I think Seb or Connor, one of you guys mentioned, like, isn't Peanut one of the players that takes the most damage on Graves when farming and stuff like that?
yes.
So like that has nothing to do with the team coming in to help you.
Yeah, they don't keep track of that stat, which is sad. But like damage taken from neutral monsters is probably high.
Yeah, like it's the eye test shows that he gets like extra damage for no reason in the jungle on people that usually take 0 damage in the jungle. So
I gotta say though, on the other end, BDD is doing BDD things where he looks very weird on some engage decisions.
Okay.
And I think this is gonna bite them in the butt if they face JDG. I don't think they'll make it through if they face JDG. I think they'll be fine against almost every other second seed. Save if top somehow makes a second seed, and I don't think that's the case. Because they don't let that kind of bizarre out like this. There's a lot of weird mispositions BDD does, and this isn't like this is nothing new. This is a year-long trend for him. But that's literally the only sour spot on Gen.G currently.
Sure.
The rest of them is like a solid A performance. Where like you have like a couple of teams that are like A+ all around. They're just like right under there. They're definitely a nice contender. And they're ballooning well. And I gotta say, this was a cute attempt by LGD to try to close out from a mistake. And then they all die.
Yeah.
And they lose the game.
Yeah.
This was not a clean close by Gen.G, but this was a very big throw by LGD for a big throw by Gen.G.
Well, they did, yeah. Getting through both Nexus towers, but then you only have like an extra maybe 5 seconds kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
a little bit dicey. Like, But hey, they made a call, said, hey, this could work, and it wasn't so far off that like you're like, oh, what was that call? Like it was like, okay, you went for something, you fully committed to something, and
Yep.
you got 80% of the way there, or
Yeah.
close enough to
Given-
working that it's like, okay, I can see where you're coming from. Like
Yeah.
you went for something cool, right? Like
This
can't fault that.
I mean, like there's a huge theme, and I think Mark Z talked about this on like Hotline Link. I can't speak for some on the
I have not
Travis.
been able to watch Hotline League since we started this, but God, I wish I could.
There's some clips I've been watching every so often, and he talks about like how North American teams lack bite, and it's literally the only difference maker. Not macro decisions, not lane priority, not it's the willingness internationally to go in and take more.
Mm-hmm.
They
Like,
don't take as many risky decisions.
like I feel like minor regions like Unicorns and some of the other teams that we were seeing in play-ins, like
Yeah.
they come off as more impressive than NA teams sometimes. Literally just cause maybe it's not the greatest play, maybe it's not the greatest idea, but like no man's trying to like fucking all in someone on level 2 or like any kind of version of that, like Tapoon being like a carry and like trying to be the source who does it. NA just kind of goes like, as much as it's no longer the main playstyle, I just feel like NA constantly falls back on no, slow controlled gameplay and choke people out like the Koreans 2015. And like again, like Team Liquid, everyone started commenting about how it's like, "Oh, well, they're doing better this week. It's almost as if being aggressive is good." And it's like the kind of like to piggyback off the bite comment. It's like, yeah, like I think most teams have level 1s and stuff like that prepared or like some kind of aggressive game plan or whatever. And then like TSM and Liquid are just like, please let us get to 40 minutes with full builds.
No, Liquid, like we said, Liquid's 3 wins. We're
No,
making level
that's what I
1
mean
plays.
though. Like Liquid week 1 was the classic mentality of like, we'll just push.
Yeah.
Slowly.
They made one level 1 play.
Yeah.
Got like 2 kills early and won that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lost the other 2 games.
I mentioned this primarily because this close by LGD at the end is literally them saying, "Hey, we have an opportunity to bite and take everything." And so they
Exactly.
went
Yeah.
for it.
Yep.
So people who would criticize this usually would have to like take into account the fact that they had no other play to win the game. This was their one and only opportunity. Given the state of the game, they were at any given points between 2 and 4K behind against a composition that by all means outscaled them and in any given opportunity also still outperformed them in team fights if they were on equal gold. And so when they had the chance to do this particular type of cheeky play to win, taking it's not the bad call here. It's unfortunate though that they were just not.
Yeah, that's my point. Like,
Yeah.
taking that play is you're not going back and saying, hey, don't ever make that play again. You're going back and saying, okay, how can we slightly improve so the next time we try that, it works.
Yep.
Right? So that's the difference. Yep.
Are we moving on to the next game?
Yep.
The next game is TSM versus Gen.G. This goes the way you think it does. TSM on blue side. No one bans Ornn. Ornn is open.
I mean, this was TSM's best looking game of the day.
But still,
if anything, like
TSM. Okay, Ornn's open. TSM first picks Lucian.
Yeah, which was also not banned.
Yeah.
Take a note of that.
Then they pick a Lilia Volibear, and they finish their draft with Aphelios Thresh. Gen.G first pick Senna Ornn and Graves, and then they round out their draft with an Orianna Tom Kench.
I gotta say, the Gen.G just straight up like play chicken with TSM. They're like, TSM won't do it. They like, why would they? They don't have any sense of like priority. I 100%. This is the first game that Lucian loses, by the way. The 100% win rate was ruined by TSM.
okay.
You gonna turn your camera on?
There you go.
There
Yeah,
it
sorry
is.
about that, guys. That's
Yeah.
it.
The 100% win rate
Leave
from
it to
Lucian
TSM.
was ruined by TSM, and I gotta say, I 100% agree that Lucian should not be the priority over Ornn. Why?
Like, it's a good pick, but like,
Okay, but the Lucian also didn't cost them this game. Like
no.
Bjergsen's callings were like exactly on. Like he got himself the early lead. You want to get on Lucian stuff. Like
That's great. What is there to supplement the Lucian?
the volley bear
Not a lot.
jumping in.
What supplements the Lucian here?
The volley bear jumping in.
Oh yeah, sure.
yeah.
Well,
but,
that's
like,
what they got. I'm not trying to be smart about it. That's all they have.
Yeah, that's literally
Yeah.
it. So
But
the
they still
issue
played
here,
Ornn.
the issue here is that if you're going to take a Lucian, you're doing a 3-lane carry, an early game carry volley bear, and all around Lucian, and a late game Aphelios. You have no supplementation, especially since you pick a Lilia. For what? Jungle pressure to avoid Graves getting through. Oh wait, you let it to be counterpicked because they picked Senna 1st.
Mhm.
Because they knew that you're going to pick Senna. This was like a grab from them. I have so many questions regarding the decision that went from the ban to the pick here, and why they picked Volley Bear when there was no. That's not a counter to Ornn in any retrospect.
Yeah, that's actually a trend in the day. Senna was like first picked on red side, like a lot today.
Yep. And I'm gonna say this: where was this aggression?
The 5 other games. I know, right?
Like in any of the games, anything? What like? I just
Well, it's because they put Bjergsen on Zillion. It's like, okay, you're saying Bjergsen's probably the best player on the team, and they're win condition a lot of the time.
I personally think Double is the best player on the team, but anyway.
Okay, sure. Whatever you're saying, but like, you're giving him Zillion, which has no agency in the early game to do anything really, and struggles to clear waves. Where he can't really react to a lot of stuff going on. And it's like, hey, you give him an actual strong early game carry, and he's able to get stuff done. But they didn't give him Lucian any other game.
Okay, so get stuff done is a very stretch, I would put it.
They've given him Orianna. They've given him LeBlanc. They've given him
plenty of.
Yeah, but the LeBlanc was also just counterpicked because picking LeBlanc into like whatever it was Ezreal.
They gave him Syndra one game and he did bad on it.
Like, I don't think you understand how ridiculous it is that you have a Senna which outranges Lucian, an Ornn which will build armor, a Graves which has inbuilt armor, a Tom Kench that literally prevents him from doing anything. The first pick Lucian here has nothing to supplement it from the side of TSM and is literally working uphill at any stage.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter that they got ahead is more on TSM and less on Gen.G because they were playing an uphill battle in a composition that honestly I don't think they should have actually won with. And they didn't, but not in the way that makes any sense.
Also, Doublelift got his shit kicked in this game too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunately due to the Aphelios pick. This is the Aphelios pick is, I wouldn't say bold. I think it's just underwhelming until you get to 3 items, and at that point, I hope the rest of your team has things to supplement you, and it didn't.
Like I feel like Ashe would have been better again.
Or Caitlyn.
Or Caitlyn's banned.
Yeah.
Oh, Caitlyn's banned. Yes, you're right. But yes, the Ashe would have definitely better. Hell, the Sivir, the Misfortune, I just this is also another game where Gen.G didn't close super well, and this is a worrying trend from a team that is like top 5, 6. But given how they were so far behind, they were able to catch TSM out on what I think is the worst Baron play I've seen in the last 2 years.
It was bad. Yeah.
No one helped Spica here. Why was Spica left alone
Yep.
to do damage?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't burst it. They split their calls. There was
The
no
Baron
proper
was at like, so Spica was like probably going to die to Baron. So like I can see why maybe like, well, it's better that I smite it and not die, kind of thing. Like, okay, I get that. If you really, really need to, okay.
But you
But
have
then they
a
just left the Baron at 500 health for like 3 seconds.
but
It was
you have
solid
a-
3 seconds.
You have a volley bear. Literally, all you have to do is have your volley bear and your Lucian go in and zone them out. Super easy to do. And then have your Aphelios Thresh help the Lilia out to burst it down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do you have an Aphelios then? If not for like any of the neutral control.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were like, okay, turn. And Spica's like, what?
What? And not to talk about like the 32-minute 5-man sleep that no one followed up on. There's literally nothing TSM could do there. They would have died. It would have looked better. They would have gotten more than one kill.
Mhm.
But they would have also had like only 2 people left.
I mean, they could have tried it because I feel like if everyone, I don't think the Aphelios ult was up, but if they're all asleep, I can picture like a double damage Aphelios ult just blowing up. But
You'd think so.
he might not have had Infernum and stuff too to make that.
I gotta
do
say,
more.
like
I don't know.
almost all across the board, this is the team that executes their compositions the worst. I didn't say it in the last one that they played, but they didn't know how to play their composition.
Mm.
They didn't know how to play this composition either. They know how to play the first 15 minutes, and they're like, "Cool." That's not enough.
Yeah.
Well, we'll save that for the end because I'm pretty sure we're
Yep.
gonna just go in on TSM later. Fnatic versus LGD is next. Fnatic
Yep.
versus LGD. Fnatic takes this. Fnatic is on blue side, and they first pick an Orianna, followed
Yep.
by Volibear Leona, and then they round out their draft with a Ashe Hecarim.
Yep.
LGD first picks a Senna Graves, followed by a Zoe, and they round out their draft with a Nautilus Renekton.
So
Hey, LGD has now sustained damage again.
yeah, LGD has nice sustain. It has like not wait. What do you mean? There's no sustained damage on LGD.
That's what I said. No
Yeah.
sustained
Connor
damage.
said no sustained damage again.
Yeah, okay, I heard misheard. Yeah, they have no
Okay.
sustained damage. It scales a little bit better, but not a whole lot. And it has a strong mid-game spike, and it's not very obvious to pilot. I hate everything about Fnatic's composition, but unfortunately, it does everything slightly better than LGD's composition. But you add the anti-synergy, but it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah, Hecarim, Orianna.
I hate. Yeah, why would you have an Ashe Leona Volibear, but then put Orianna and Hecarim in it? There is one proper damage source on this team. At least it's more sustained damage.
It's Ashe and Orianna.
Yeah, the Orianna I don't view enough as like sustained damage. It is much more of a team fight answer. And whenever there's prolonged fights, it's mostly Orianna frantically using abilities trying to get away. It's long gone are the days of 2014 Orianna where you could just like chase people down with her. She's not that kind of kid anymore. It's
Hecarim Qs add up. They Triforce Hecarim.
yeah, no, over time, like in the mid game, there is a lot more that Fnatic get out of this, and they do win in the mid game. They play this out better. As much as I don't like Fnatic's composition, it still answers everything that LGD is trying to bring up, and much better.
Whippo also just freaking went off.
Absolutely, yeah. I
606,
don't understand
man.
how. This is also the thing that weirds me out. why did they last pick Renekton on LGD side after seeing Volibear and knowing that Volibear was not going jungle?
Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't they pick like Camille? Doesn't Camille like crush Volibear?
Yep.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it would have almost filled the exact same role as Renekton. Huh, interesting.
Yep. Or Jax.
Yep. It's I'm quite surprised. I must say though, both of these teams have very poor vision. I think this is the group that had the worst vision overall out of the other 4 groups. No
Yeah.
one cares about where people are. They just care about who has the lane pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Gen.G
Yeah,
is
like
the only exception here, but that makes sense given the fact of their results.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like I said, TSM was split up all the time. Like sure they put a ward down, but they'd like be on 2 different sides or split up or like not. Yeah, LGD does not set up for objectives really at all.
FNatic doesn't put vision anywhere. They just put vision as like a reactive setup for a play.
Yeah,
And
it's very much reactive. Yeah, I'd agree.
yeah, and it's not for any setups. The only setups that are existent is, if they know where the other side is from lane pressure, they don't need
Sure.
vision.
Or like they place teleport wards, but
Yeah, but that's about it. And I wrote down the notes. Vision and setup not needed for Drakes with this kind of lead, and that's when they had a 7k lead at 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So like,
At that point, you kind of just say like, "Knock, knock, fuck you." The Drakes are. It's like,
yep.
yeah. Pulling the dragon out when the enemy team has scuttle crab.
Right.
next game,
Next game.
LGD versus TSM. LGD, their one win of the day. TSM, sucking. LGD on blue side first picks Orianna, followed by Nidalee Pantheon, and then they round out their draft with Jin Shen.
Right.
TSM on red side first picks Zillion Graves, followed by Camille, and they finish it
Mhm.
out with Ashe Braum. My big
Mm.
question is, I thought Shen was like a priority pick in this tournament. So like,
It's supposed to
how
be.
did it make it all the way to second last pick?
It's not. Shen is not always good. You can't just if you're picking Shen, you got to pick stuff that goes with it. It goes well with like engage comps per se, like Shen Hecarim or something, or like Shen Evelyn, or like which enables the Shen to be able to go in. Playing it just kind of like we're gonna play Shen and we're gonna play defensive is not the best use of Shen.
For sure.
So Shen looks good if you're trying to make an engage comp or trying to make a comp that's gonna like, okay, we're gonna start a fight, we're gonna go in. So like even like a Leona, for example, that's able to like, yes, I'm gonna jump in here. Right? Like not the best obviously, but like it's something. Right?
I don't know. I feel like with the Pantheon, like that's your way in, right?
That's it.
Like, yeah, it's not
It's not the best.
it's not
It
like
is
Hecarim
setup.
level, like we're gonna go in here, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but like
it's not
no one
Twitch.
has picked Hecarim and Shen
not-
this tournament yet, but people have still tried to
it's
pick
not
Shen.
like Evelyn or
Supermassive.
Nocturne, right?
Huh?
Yeah.
Supermassive did.
Okay,
the
sorry,
Hecarim
I meant
one.
groups. Because like Shen's been picked a couple times on teams with like Pantheon and stuff like that, so it's like I feel like it's fine, but like again, it's just weird that like I don't know. It's just most of Shen's presence in Worlds so far has been them banning it in the first set of bans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I guess you have a
of
Nidalee
reaction
going on too.
more.
But
Yeah.
So like it enables the Nidalee to jump in a lot more because
Yeah, like
normally
gives
if
Nidalee
are
like more freedom to be
follow this-
aggressive.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which normally Nidalee's like I do not want to jump into a team.
Yeah.
But-
Oh, and look there. It's a Zillion. Look at that.
So
Bjergsen's
remember yet
best champion, unstoppable on Zillion. Do I sound like an NA caster yet?
A little
here's my
bit.
point here. So remember yesterday when I was like, so would you pick Orianna into just a team comp like whatever it was the other game? It was like Lilia and Lucian or like stuff that's just gonna be moving around all the time and going back and forth. Doesn't do as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I specifically said. It's like you want to see Orianna into like an Ashe Braum that's gonna be standing in one spot where you can just get both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens? They pick Ashe Braum, a Zillion, which is also going to be standing there, behind the
Yep.
Braum, and nice close little group,
Mhm.
and Graves. same thing. So they're all going to be this nice. The four of them at least are going to be this nice little group. And what happened every single time? They were this nice little group and all got shockwaved.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing. I put a question mark here. Teams that first pick Orianna frustrate me a little bit.
Mhm.
This is not as bad as like Volley Bear being picked up, not as a counter. But like Nidalee, Graves, Lilia, so many things. Ashe was all available for first picking. And you pick the Orianna. And then TSM, like Homer Simpson, ran into a wall,
Mm-hmm.
lit their diploma on fire, burned the house down.
Like TSM's comp is fine. Like it's not.
I don't like
great.
the Braum here, but like it's not terrible. I don't hate it.
I think the argument is Orianna and Syndra are the S tier of mid laners, and like other stuff is like A plus maybe. So like if we're banning Syndra and taking Orianna,
Mm-hmm.
their pick is going to be slightly worse than us. I guess Lucian as well.
But in the situation where like the mid jungle duo is determined primarily by the jungle and not by the mid, why would you prioritize the mid over the jungle? Especially since your jungler is probably one of the weakest performing jungler out of everyone in the groups. And it's even comparing it to Spica, and Spica is actually probably the least disappointing aspect of TSM right now. But
yeah, like I said the other day, like the person I'm least disappointed in is Spica.
And that's hilarious given the way he started his professional career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've not Biofrost's not done anything for me, but
I have nothing nice to say here other than the early parts of this peanut was being tossed around, and yet TSM threw that all away.
yeah, I just have TSM macro question marks.
Yeah, yes.
That sums up this game.
They have better setup for Drakes, but they traded a Baron for a Nexus. That's straight up what happened.
Seems worth in my book. Like, hey.
Hey, at least you have 2 negative Baron power plays.
There you go.
In the day.
It's all about setting records.
Uh-huh. Also, I wrote down, and this is a criticism of both teams. I was like, why are 2 1-4 compositions not pressuring side lanes? This was like straight up 15 minutes of them posturing in the mid lane. All 5 members. No one pressuring side lanes. When you have, what is it? A Shen on one side where that's literally the MO, and a Camille, which is also the MO for 2 separate reasons, but it's still side lane part. Like, why are all 5 in the mid lane as if they're like the key element to the team fight and not the, re-engage element of the team fight?
I mean, at least with LGD, they were saying like, okay, we're gonna put out a Jhin ult, maybe throw some spears, set up, look for a good stun, look for a good shockwave. Like they're setting up saying, okay, we can fight them. Let's look for a good engage opportunity here.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see like, yeah, the Shen should be taking 2 globals and be able to just get in, but like I can see them saying, okay, we're gonna just jump the second they're slightly out of position or we land a shockwave or something. So be ready on a moment's notice kind of thing to just go in. So, but yeah, TSM really should likely have been playing around the Camille. And
yep, I'm just so upset. Yeah. This is just really bad understanding of your composition. I think on both sides, really, but like.
But they've done it before. It's not like TSM doesn't know how to play Camille.
Yep.
Even in like playoffs and stuff, like they had really good Camille like split push games. They played 4-1 properly before.
Yeah. Where did TSM playoff win? The most aggressive team out of all of the NA teams to be sent through. Where the hell did they go? We'll talk about that later. Mm-hmm. Anywho, I don't
Last
have much
game of the day.
Yes.
Gen.G versus FNatic. Gen.G on blue side, FNatic on red. Gen.G ends up taking this. Gen.G first pick a Lucian, followed up by a Nidalee Renekton, and then they
Uh-huh.
round out their comp with a Aphelios Taric. FNatic first pick a Senna Graves, followed by a
Uh-huh.
Leona, and then they round out their draft with a Malphite Lulu. For
Fnatic
those
lost in
wondering where
draft.
some of those picks went, Malphite top, Lulu mid, Senna ADC.
Yeah, so Fnatic lost in draft.
I
Almost.
100% agree.
So Senna Graves. I guess do your first damage. I guess you can build Umbral to clear wards and stuff. Like, it's not the
Cool.
worst thing you can do, but Leona, okay. But then your top and mid, you pick a support and a pure tank, so you have 0 damage out of each of them because Lulu's just building support items, doesn't really do damage. Malphite's, this isn't pure AP one-shot Malphite. Like, it's not a thing in professional play. Like,
You want to hear
so
about all the things they're lacking from Fnatic? They're
yep,
lacking damage. They're lacking sustained damage. They're lacking even a semblance of burst. They're lacking a semblance of scaling.
Well, if
They're
Whippo went full AP, they'd have lots of burst.
wow, they're not going that way.
Mm.
No one was expecting them to go that way, or else Malphite would have gone mid,
yeah.
or even bot lane to support.
I mean, Graves Senna with Leona passive, like they can burst them, but it's not like good. I'd agree. Yeah.
Literally, their strongest point is in the mid game, and again, Gen.G went and picked a very difficult composition with limited engage options that requires an early game to snowball, and yet it still answers the mid game better than Fnatic. This is the worst drafting group. At least with like the other two groups that played, that finished, I can be like, the teams have like some questionable drafts here and there, but every team has shown me that they know how to draft and know how to execute on their draft.
Yeah, it's like PSG was losing games, but like I said, they didn't lose in draft ever. they
just
But this is
misexecuted or got outclassed, which is
Yeah.
like
sure.
that has to happen in League of Legends for people to lose and win. So it's whatever.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, that's fine. Like I could accept you losing that game. You made a good effort, but like this is like what?
Yeah, like I gotta say though, the Aphelios Taric is a great bottom lane pick to this.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
the second I saw that, I was like, they lost. I don't care what their mid lane pick is. I don't care what their top lane pick is, regardless of which direction.
Mhm.
They have no ways of answering that if
Yep.
this is played properly, and they didn't even play it properly. So like they still lost.
Yeah, Gen.G got up in CS in every lane. It's like jungles plus CS,
Yep.
top mid ADCs plus CS. Okay, cool. They got a gold lead everywhere. And they did the thing I like where they killed the turret and then they dropped the Rift Herald, like as they're
Yep.
finishing off the turret kill, so that it then gets a charge on the inhibitor. Now they didn't quite finish the inhibitor right then and there, but like, hey, you got multiple charges off and didn't
Mm-hmm.
waste his full health bar on a 5% turret. So
I gotta say too, this is the best vision and neutral game control Gen.G has shown us, and if this is the Gen.G we get to see with proper drafting, and not like whatever yakety sax is gonna happen from this group, I think that they are strong contenders for the top 4 position. If they're facing off against somebody that is not JDG Gaming.
Nice.
yeah.
If they face off against JDG Gaming, I don't think they're gonna win.
Sure.
Yep.
I mean,
Now,
Michigan
other thing to
Beach.
remember too is, so Fnatic not only does very little damage, Gen.G has a lot of like shields, healing, like sustain options and stuff too. It's like
Yep.
Taric has a lot of healing and protection for whoever you try to burst.
Mhm.
Like
And to compare it
Medected
to
in
like,
Italy have good heals. Like you're not
and to
gonna.
compare it
They
to the
couldn't burst the Medected.
previous-
Sorry.
And to compare it to the previous first pick Lucian game, this Lucian has options to prop it up and to assist it. It isn't left alone to be just like, oh hi, I'm a Lucian. Let me just choo.
Mm-hmm. Please stand still while I shoot you with my guns.
And I'm
But, like-
pretty sure this was not even like the standout performance. I'm pretty sure who was like the standout performance? It was Ruler, wasn't it? Like on the Aphelios. And like it wasn't even that standout. It was just the entire team was so far ahead.
Hmm.
They had
That you could
crazy
just sit
wave
there and do
manipulation with
damage.
Baron.
Yeah, Ruler
Yep.
went 602.
Yeah.
Next best score was Rascal with 525.
Yeah. I
They
mean,
had
he had
Clo-
one or two great Inferno malts that, it blows up when it kills
Yep.
it. Yeah.
So that wraps out today's games. The people that we have moving forward to groups are Gen.G and FNatic. Congratulations. They end with the group with the score of 5-1 for Gen.G and 4-2 for FNatic.
And for those who wanted to know the results out of this, Josh, you got 4 points. Connor and I got 3 points from this group, adjusting the score to now 22 for Connor, 19 for me, 18 for Josh. Josh, you're catching back up after having
The
a
spiciness of Group B ruined me.
Perfect though.
So, Seb, question of the day. What's the question of today?
So the evaluations.
Oh, the evaluations. That's true.
I'll have an extra question after that. So let's start with like the number evaluation. LGD. Connor, how about you start it off?
Sure. I'm just adding this up. I have them at a 61. So for comparison, that is just slightly behind what I gave TL and PSG, but
Oh,
pretty far ahead of what I gave Machi and Rogue.
interesting. I gave them a C also overall, mostly from the
Okay.
evaluation for their draft. I gave them like a B, and then vision C, execution C, and the team fighting C plus.
Yep. Well, that is like a B minus, I think, is what they come out to.
Okay. How about you, Josh?
I gave them.
Oh, sorry. Connor wasn't done.
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
I gave them a half decent vision score because I did like their kind of like aggressive jungle wards, especially early, where they're trying to keep track of the enemy jungler.
Okay.
Thought that was really good to see because they would try to keep track of them and to enable like the dives or the kind of things saying, okay, they're doing their crowd camp because we have a ward on that. So like I appreciated that, which is really, really good. But yeah, I think I only gave them 22 out of 35 total because like they weren't specifically the best on objectives or anything ever.
So mine were because I didn't get to watch all the games today, and I had to mostly figure it out through like analyst sections or like stuff on like Twitter and stats or stuff like that. I wasn't comfortable like giving like individual things, so like mine's more of like a feeling.
Got it.
And for LGD, I give them like a B minus C plus.
Okay.
So it's like they're not great. They did okay because like 3-3 is an okay record. You'd think that they'd be better because they're from China and all that stuff, but again, like a fourth seed is still a fourth seed, so like they're gonna have issues no matter the region, more or less.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I mean, they never outright lost a game in draft, as Connor said earlier. So like that has to count for something. And they're not like just like this rollover, let us die type of thing. Like we've already said, their crutch was mostly Peanut. They lived or died by him. And
the team is built around Peanut, so that makes sense.
yeah,
in theory.
So it's like I can't fault them too much because like they tried and they had a decent record, and yeah, and I'm not gonna say what's next, but yeah, it's more for what they can do.
Yeah, you guys are really generous for giving them like a C plus B minus range because I also included their play-ins because they didn't improve much more from their play-ins results. And honestly, I think like their draft is their strongest aspect, and that's the one that has the least amount of impact so far at Worlds. If you have like perfect draft, but your everything else is weak as heck, I don't care who you are. You could be the smartest like theory crafter in the world, and if you can't execute on it, it doesn't mean anything. I gave him a C plus for team fighting because it's from China and they have that experience from it. but it still didn't help them a lot. And their vision and execution really hurt them, honestly. Yeah, they have very good early game vision, but honestly, after that, it just kind of disappears. And
Yeah, that's what I say. I didn't give them a good score on it. It was just like
yeah,
or something.
and they seem to be very lost on how they're supposed to execute things, probably because of the handholding from Peanut.
TSM?
So Josh, we're gonna let you rant, so we'll get you last upon the scoring and evaluation of TSM,
Yeah.
because I feel like this will be cathartic for you. Connor, lead us off with TSM then.
Well, I do have them as technically the worst team, but to be fair, I only have them a couple of points behind Rogue. At a C overall. Just uh, mostly because, you know, we rank vision pretty highly, and like TSM's vision wasn't the worst per se. Like it was more just like they'd place wards and then not, I guess, not defend them or like not take
Acknowledge their
advantage of them per
presence.
se. Yeah, they didn't really do like vision denial or like prevent or like control areas, like prevent the team from getting places. They'd set up and then retreat back off of their ward line. So like,
That's not really vision. That's more
yeah,
like
I don't know. That's more of a misplay in execution than their vision score almost. So
yeah.
and then the other scores aren't that great. Mostly like C minuses and stuff. Which is sad.
So overall, what would you give them?
I think I have them like a C.
A C. Okay,
That's
that's pretty generous. That's pretty generous.
I'll agree with Seb. That's generous.
Yeah.
For an 06 team, oh boy.
So here's the thing. I don't think that they had the worst drafting. I gave them a C minus on drafting because it seems like at some points they had an idea of what they were supposed to do, and in others they were just kind of whatever. And their vision, I gave them a C minus because also like they do the walk in, clear things, walk out, and they're like, all right, cool. That's you have an understanding of when vision game is supposed to happen, but not how effective. And before I get to execution, I'll get to team fighting. I think TSM was a strong contender for the second best team fighting team in this group, unfortunately, because they clearly have a strong identity of how they're supposed to like who engages, how's the follow up, but they have zero idea how their team is supposed to be executed. So they're just blind team fighting the way that they're expected to. So I gave them like a C plus. This is the best grade I gave them.
Mm-hmm.
And I really struggled really hard to not give them an F, a 0 on execution.
I wouldn't have blamed you if you gave him an F, honestly, but
because they still executed the first 10 minutes of all of their games just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So I gave them a D minus, the absolute lowest score I can give them, which is like a 0.25 out of 5. Yeah, leading overall to a D plus, a whole grade score lower than Rogue, at least in my book.
Mm-hmm.
If Rogue and TSM were in the same group, I think Rogue would probably play against them the same way LGD did. Full stop.
I think that's fair.
Yep.
Michael or
Yeah, you go.
Okay.
I got nothing else to add.
So like in terms of evaluation, like of the tournament, I'm not gonna say actually too much. Because like I'm assuming that we're gonna like talk about like NA in terms of like question of the day type thing.
TSM question of the day. So
Yeah.
I'll tie it in before you get to your rant.
Yeah.
Do you think they should scrap everyone on TSM except for Speaker?
Oh shit.
Who said that?
No one. I think, honestly, personally, Speaker should be the only remaining member after this. Put TSM on. Put Bjergsen on coaching. I don't care. This clearly is not working.
I think. Oh boy. Well, to like quickly talk about the evaluation part. Oh, like I'm salivating. I would have given TSM like just like eye test kind of thing without going through all the numbers and stuff like that. Like a D. Like they didn't do anything properly besides doing the bare minimum of what teams should be able to do, which is like execute like early game. And like that's fine, but because like some teams can't even execute early game, but they make up for it with having a solid mid to late or something like that.
Mhm.
The fact that like you can't win off just an early game, you can't. First of all, surrenders aren't a thing anymore, and like this isn't like wasn't there like a game like in 2014 or something like that where like Korea smashed someone so hard that they surrendered at like 15 minutes?
It was a Chinese team.
It was a Chinese team. There you go. So like
Chinese teams were the last teams to ever actually surrender in internet. No, actually, it was a mid. It was in the wild card tournaments. It was the last time that there was a surrender. But in a major setting, it was a Chinese team was the last one.
Cool. But like, yeah, like you can't win at 15 minutes, like almost ever. You have to be ridiculously good to win at 15 minutes, and like you're not going to be that good because it's professional play. It's also Worlds. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't think they did anything good. Again, like their vision is like meh. Like everything's meh at best if it's not bad with TSM here. And like I was pissed when I was seeing TSM do well in playoffs because like shit, like if NA is gonna get crapped on at Worlds, I want it to at least be new people, right? Like FlyQuest getting crapped on, I'm not gonna give them too much flack. They've been to Worlds like what, twice? I think 3 times
Never.
maybe.
Never.
No.
Oh, never?
Never.
Okay, cool. That's right. Sorry, it's like certain members have been. That's what I was confusing. So like FlyQuest has never been to Worlds.
Solo has been to Worlds.
Solo hasn't been to Worlds.
Yeah.
But like FlyQuest as an organization hasn't gone to Worlds.
Correct.
Like again, they didn't do good last year, but like 100 Thieves, like when they went to Worlds, I was like, cool. Like, you know, it's different people getting to like try this out. Like it's a different view, all that stuff. And like if they get smashed, yes, it's disappointing because like NA always wants to see their teams do good. But like when it's TSM getting smashed, it's like the most like obnoxious thing. Because I'm not gonna go too long on this part, but like they constantly claim that they're the #1 esports brand in North America. Like we've won the most we've won the most championships, blah 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 blah. And it's like, then why is it that the org with the least amount of championships is the one with the best international record? Why is Cloud9 the team that like seemingly is the only one that's ever done well at Worlds, right? And to kind of like pivot more to like your question, Seb, of like, should TSM just blow up the roster? Sorry,
before you go to the answer to that question, I'll pause it even better. Team Liquid and CLG made it to the finals of MSI better than any other North American team, bar none.
Yeah.
And CLG is like historically known.
CLG gave
chokers.
Peak Form SKT a run for their money.
Yep.
Holy shit. Like I know CLG's a shit can right now, but like CLG gave a run for Peak Form SKT. That is nutty. Right?
Yeah.
Liquid.
Team Liquid beat the world championship team the year after in a best of 5, not from cheese, not from like stealing it and
from
a
just straight up being better.
Just straight up being better. Like this is not a situation where North America is like garbage in any sense, but TSM is the worst performing international team in a Riot sanctioned tournament ever from North America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, so for the team blow up thing or whatever, honestly, it's probably gonna happen. Like I wouldn't put it past TSM. They do it almost every Worlds. Like they blow up 3/4 of the team or whatever, like including staff, and then like it's like this big thing. And like Spica, in my opinion, is definitely the best performing person on TSM. Like, yes, he had that god-awful Kane game, meme him, whatever. It's fine. It was bad. No one's going to defend that. But
it's one game.
It's like, one game, exactly like Connor said. It's one game. And what did he do after that, right? Again, there's been years like was it Cloud9 that had contracts? There was one year where contracts was here. I think it was on Cloud9, and
yeah.
he got dumpstered. Like all the other junglers ate him alive, and he wasn't the same contracts that we saw in NA. Spica was more or less the same Spica that we were seeing all of NA. So like it
Yeah.
made sense. Like TSM was currently like they have some of the biggest names, right? Like they have
So
sorry,
if you
go.
look at their games, the only lane they're consistently losing every single time is bot lane.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly enough, like Broken Blade wasn't specifically losing lane or anything. Like he
Mhm.
wasn't necessarily carrying games, or he wasn't. And like him not split pushing on Camille is also more like a team decision as well. Like, hey, be here, help us, kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
you can't specifically say like, oh, he wasn't doing Camille properly because he knows how to. It would have been a call from the team saying, hey, be down here to help us, right? So
Mhm.
the team thing. So I don't think Broken Blade is the worst tournament. Yeah, people definitely punished Bjergsen's like, picking Zillion that's terrible early and that kind of thing. And they picked like counters to LeBlanc and like, he was, I don't know.
From
It's
the
just
lane, from a lane perspective, and I know this for a fact because like every time the double is in a
Mhm.
team that is supposed to be a high performing team and his lane is losing very often, it's usually because the team has like some weird priorities put up, right? Because
Mhm.
double lift is playing to the best of his abilities given the priorities that are given. So I really wouldn't
Sure.
put too much in the numbers because it's the same thing with Sneaky. Sneaky's the same thing. Both of these, and I'm gonna be straight up. I don't think anybody compares the two very much because, like, on paper, Sneaky is not as decorated as Double Lift or historically, impressive. But
But he gets the
much
job
better
done.
snap worlds.
he gets the job done and he performs well internationally. And Double Lift, as much as he has like some questionable performances internationally, he's performed significantly better internationally than anybody on TSM is currently.
Mm-hmm.
He was part of the lineup of Team Liquid that beat IG, who just won World Championships, and 15 minutes stomped TSM right beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
this is one of those
but
things where,
like I said, Biofrost was the worst player of this tournament.
yep, I would 100% agree on that one.
He
And
like
this is
it's like
this is the year of Peanut was performing like absolute hot garbage.
But like, Biofrost wasn't doing that great. I agree. But like, it's not like Biofrost handed their 06 record to TSM on a silver
no,
platter.
Nope.
Like,
no.
I think this is like a fairly shared thing almost everywhere. But I also
Okay,
think
but
that
you were never like, hey, Biofrost made a play. Like
yes,
it,
no, for sure.
it,
Like,
it
Yeah, yeah,
didn't
yeah.
it's an
happen.
issue. It's an issue, and like, I'm actually as much as I like Biofrost as a player, I'm surprised that they decided to go back with him because I think Treats would have been maybe better overall, but
Like support
maybe
is supposed to have agency, supposed to be able to, make a roam, make a
mhm.
pick, make a, like go do something with your mid lane or your jungler, like,
Yeah, but
and
like
it's not per se that you decided, oh, okay, Biofrost is going 0-6 and losing the game. No, but it's like, when did you be like, oh yeah, Biofrost made a roam and did something, or Biofrost, maybe you could say he helped them take early dragons
mhm.
a
But
little
also
bit.
I think
like
this
the number of times like if you want to put that mirror up to different people, like how many games this worlds did people go Bjergsen popping off? Ah! Like none, right? Whereas
Gen.G
like,
game,
huh?
he had
not
like
really.
6 kills.
Yeah, and
Sure,
then
But
the
he
Gen.G game when it was too late though.
yeah,
But like that's what I mean. Like sure, yes, like correction, he did do good in that one Gen.G game. Yes. But like why didn't that happen the other 4 games, right? Like why didn't that happen when it matters? It doesn't matter now that you're eliminated from Worlds. All you're doing at that
yep.
point is messing up people's records. Like you have no other reason to be there. And like it's just like
Well, I mean, PSG won 2 games and made a like.
Okay, so I think this is the context that needs to be put through. Who did their job on TSM?
Spica.
Yep, that's it.
Because
And maybe Broken Blade, but even
yeah,
then, I don't
but
know.
that's about it. Yeah,
Yeah, I would say
I'm-
maybe Broken Blade, but the unfortunate aspect here is that
Double F sometimes.
well, I don't expect anything more than Double performing as expected, and Double performed as expected. So like
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say he didn't do his job, but he also didn't do his job because he wasn't given any type of agency to do a job.
Yeah.
He was not primarily the carry, and when he was in a situation where the composition didn't fit it.
Yep.
Broken Blade is the weakest of all the top laners at Worlds, and he was not given proper attention or agency from anybody. There was no like 3 or 4 man top lane moves done. There were plenty of bot lane moves done and a composition that was top lane focused. Biofrost, like you mentioned, Connor, does not do his job, and less from a lack of like needing to be able to like wanting to move, but more because the compositionally speaking, he has no opportunities to. Like none of these players are doing their jobs because one, they're not being drafted in a sense in a composition that they understand how it works and they move together to be able to support one another.
Like TSM did better when it was actually Bjergsen in the wards.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know necessarily what they play towards anymore, and that's not me trying to be like extra towards them or whatever. Like honestly, I don't know like how they draft certain comps and then it works out the way it does, right? Where it's like,
Mhm.
what's it called? Where's the Gen.G game? Let me look at that. So it's like,
What's the win conditions?
yeah. So like Bjergsen on Lucian, cool. Bjergsen's gonna be your carry, right? He was getting kills and all that stuff, but like kind of like what we said, how do you make sure that Bjergsen can lock down all those kills consistently throughout the game? A Volibear running at you isn't gonna do too much because Flash and Alt are on cooldowns. So it's like,
Mhm.
And then like the 2 Zillion picks, it's like you've already been exposed this tournament about how Zillion gets like shit on by people here. So like why pick it up again? And I
Okay, but also Bifrost had games I looked through. So he played Leona, Rakan, Alistar, and Bard were all things that he played. All 4 of those, you'd think in theory, have a lot of opportunities to go in and be like, boom, set up for a play, make big plays.
sure.
Or like, like
But I'm also not
Yeah.
arguing that Biofrost was doing bad. I know he did bad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but like I'm also just trying to clarify that like cuz I like not saying you, but like other people will be really quick to like forgive the big names of Bjergsen and Doublelift and be like, they're fine. Their teams are always holding them back. It's like, no, oh, isn't it interesting?
It's 2014.
Yeah, but like, isn't it interesting that TL on paper like got the shit end of the stick when Doublelift left them. Like on paper, like Doublelift is the more decorated player, blah 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 blah. But they did better without him throughout the whole split, and then did fine at Worlds. Again, they didn't do good, but 3-3 is
I would say they did good. I would say they did good.
sure. We could say good then. I'm not gonna like cherry pick whatever we
3-3
want to say there.
was
But
as
like,
much as anyone expect out of Liquid, right? Like
I'm like
they
playing a team that almost qualified for top 8. This is the perspective we have to give. Team Liquid was 1 game off from qualifying from top 8, so we have to give them the respect of the fact that they did perform good.
yeah. Okay,
at
then
Worlds.
we'll say good.
Yeah,
yeah,
Liquid
they
did good, right?
they
Yeah.
took a game off, the second best
Everyone.
Chinese team, right? Like yeah.
They were able to take a game off everyone. It was good. It was just too late, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But then it's like, but like again, like they had Tactical, a rookie, who's never gone to Worlds, never done anything like that. So like
Yep.
you would think that people would be coming out of the woodwork like, oh, Tactical's not ready. But like he did fine.
The tactical's great though. Like
Yeah.
But like look, like the 2 rookies that like people would normally like years past would like blame like, oh, it's Spica's fault. It's Tactical's fault. It's like the rookies are fine. The
Yep.
rookies were doing fine. The people who should have been carrying more weight, i.e., the big name players like Bjergsen and Doublelift,
Yep.
or like Impact, Broxa, and Jensen, like for Liquid's case, like they were all underperforming, but TSM underperformed even more by comparison because they went 05, 06, whatever. And like that's my point though, is that like you can't just let Bjergsen and Doublelift like not I'm not saying like kick them automatically or something like that, but like it's like they're big names, but like where's the rep that comes with that name? Like where's the performance that comes with that name? Because if you would have swapped out nameplates and stuff like that for all the TSM games, minus the Gen.G one where Bjergsen did pretty good on Lucian. Actually, no, even that. If you would have swapped out those nameplates and put like unicorns or like supermassive or something like that, I would have been like, interesting. I guess it's not supermassive's year. But because it's TSM, because it's the first seed of NA, the first seed, you know? Like, again, TL is the third seed, the worst team coming out of NA.
Yep.
FlyQuest is the second best team coming out of NA. TSM won the playoffs and went 06. And like their group isn't that hard. Like
It's actually the easiest.
They're not in a group of death by far. It would have been a
They're-
group of death if they ended up in the same group as fucking FlyQuest, but they're not.
This
Like-
is the
Okay,
thing.
well, this is letting you into it here. Okay, here's my question then. Do you think replace TSM with Cloud9? Would they have done better?
No,
I don't think so, because
I
Cloud9
don't
was
even-
shitting the bed near the end, so it doesn't.
no. I don't think it's
I'm not-
even close to even like a question. Cloud9 here
okay.
historically has none of the players or none of the same staff that actually made them perform super well internationally. This was a complete reset from them and a complete reset of identity. So like I don't think it's the same thing as comparing like the 7-year huge, really cool like streak of worlds performances. This is a very different set of team. But
No, I
in
was just
terms of-
comparing current TSM, current Cloud9. So,
Yeah.
yeah, current TSM and current Cloud9, current TSM would still perform better.
Like,
than
I'm
current
not
Cloud9.
saying TSM is like absolutely dog shit. Any team can beat them. Blah blah blah. They still won like North America. Like you can't take that away from them. But like
Mhm.
it's bad that they won North America and then went 06.
Like honestly, the bare minimum that this team should have gotten, given Fnatic's performance,
They should have at least
their
gone
own
2-4
playoff-
in my opinion.
No. But bare minimum, what the result should have been, given both Fnatic's and LGD's performance in their playoffs, and the performance I even saw in these groups, TSM should have made it out. The bare minimum score I should have seen out of TSM from this group is 4-2. And given the fact that their scrims, they lost 0 games from all the scrims that were leaked by TSM. I am utterly surprised on how garbage this is. Like I do not understand how you have the infrastructure of like the highest standard for the longest amount of time.
Second highest. I think Team Liquid technically has better infrastructure, but yeah.
They have $1 million infrastructure building alone. I'm thinking the way that TSM has their infrastructure is probably more money invested.
Maybe.
So this is unacceptable across the board, like severely.
Mhm.
Team Liquid's expectations going into this group was maybe tying with the other top 2 teams at best, and at worst 3-3 in the score, and that's their expectations. And they played to the expectations, maybe even slightly better based off of the.
And the reason why
What-
most people are upset, like me, is just because like the way they got to the 3-3 was like stupid. But like
Yeah.
they got the 3-3, but the way they got there was like not great.
Yeah. And so what surprises me the most is that we expect FlyQuest to, again, same position as Team Liquid, 3-3 at best, maybe tie for second. None of them are expecting them to like guarantee groups. But TSM was put in a group with 2 very poor performing playoff teams, because
Mhm.
nothing in Europe shows me that Europe was performing well. Hell, look at their third and fourth seed teams, which were the
Yeah.
first and second seed into their playoffs. They performed terribly.
Yep.
Look at the drafting and execution style that FNatic have. It is not the greatest by far.
And like
LGD,
Rogue, who's a worse team, were able to pick up a win.
yeah, like there's so many questions I have here going, TSM, you were expected to be seed 2 out of this group and then lose in the quarterfinals. That was the bare minimum expectation, and you looked like you were better off getting eliminated in play-in with Mad Lion.
To go back to the question,
Yes.
I don't know what fixes TSM. I don't know if they should just let go of everyone, move Bjergsen to coach because he's part owner, and like keep Spica and rebuild. Because like I've never been too hot on Broken Blade. I know he's had like good games and stuff like that, but like just personally, I've always just kind of been like, he's there. He's like, like that's always been my opinion of him. Like if Broken Blade leaves, I won't be broken about it. Like it's fine. But
See
then
see what you did there.
yeah. But then like Double Lift pre his pouty phase or whatever you want to call it on Team Liquid, pre that, Double Lift is like godsend AD carry. Any NA team lucky to have him. You know what I mean? Whereas
Mhm.
like with showings like this, it's like part of me is like, no, keep Double Lift because like the name. But then like you look at this Worlds and you're like, like I could understand if they got rid of him.
I'm of the opinion of you have some time now to get to play games together. Like give Double Up and Treats a chance. Like I think they said going in like, yeah, we weren't they weren't as comfortable with each other. Like Treats hadn't been able to like read how Double Up plays and like get a feel for it. It was like give them a couple months of like playing solo queue together and getting them to read on like how they play
But
and see if they could what I mean? Like give that a chance at least is
yeah,
my opinion. But
that's possible. But then there's the extra caveat of Double Lift famously does not care about Spring Split.
He doesn't care about Spring Split from that year because they removed the championship points. He did care about them beforehand because championship points were a thing and MSI was a thing.
yeah.
That's
And hopefully next year we have MSI again, right?
It's probably not happening.
Don't think it's gonna happen next year. From somebody who works in the travel industry,
Yeah.
probably not gonna happen.
But,
Worlds next year live, probably not MSI. That would be too soon.
But yeah, like TSM and Double Lift have like separately have like gone on different like records of saying like Spring Split isn't as important, if not important at all.
What about
So,
a
like,
virtual play from home MSI?
Like, I mean, maybe it's not really the same thing at all, because like ping issues and stuff like that.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, again, it might be a thing, but at the same time, like, who knows? Because it like again, he slumped for kind of unconfirmed reasons. Some people think or suspect that it's because he was having a fit because he lost Xmithy and was like unhappy about that and like just didn't want to cooperate.
Because he's actually confirmed it in an interview why that entire half of the year went bad. He said 100% I was depressed. I did not care about the results. I didn't perform because I thought it was stupid. And it was utterly disrespectful to my teammates who were actually trying. And he agreed that he should have been let go from the team. Like he's made a point of note that like his Spring Split performance is 100% on him because he was making it fit. And so
See, the only interviews I ever heard were him where he's like, yeah, but they also treated me bad, so it doesn't matter. But all right.
I mean, like he that's what he said in his like op-ed, but he also had an actual interview with Travis.
Yeah.
All right.
Talking about that there's no excuses on his end.
Sure.
Yeah.
That rectifies then things a little bit.
I think his thing was saying like, well, like they started it, but my reaction was unacceptable. kind of thing.
I guess.
Yeah,
But
like the
even
whole,
so, then like he should be in top form then technically now. Like there's nothing keeping him theoretically from being in top form. I should say, not he should
Yeah.
be in top form. There shouldn't be
Yeah.
anything keeping him. I don't know. They're not going to get rid of him. I definitely don't think, like, if we're talking about what I think is going to happen, they're not getting rid of Doublelift. They literally just bought him out from Liquid.
his contract ends in November because it's a bot contract.
Yeah. I just, I don't know. I think it'd be really weird to buy out a dude's contract and then let him go right away. I feel like it would just be weird.
They did
might.
the same thing with a bunch of people.
Weirder things have happened, I know. But, like, part of me thinks Doublelift is going to stay because they also made kind of a little spiel about how like Doublelift is going to be like their new franchise player when he came back. So again, weirder things have happened, but with how some of the publicity about like Doublelift back, like all that stuff, like they were really pushing him to be in the same pillar as Bjergsen, as like pillar of TSM type thing. So
Yep.
like
I'd like to see give Treats a chance, if only also because I feel like Biofrost he's a much quieter person. He's a much more like, I'm just gonna follow what you're doing and stick with you kind
well,
of
that's
thing.
why I
And
think Core JJ worked better, because Core JJ's like, hey, I'm smart, listen to me, we're doing this.
that's Treats. Treats is
Yeah.
very, very vocal, very, hey, what do you think of this? And at first they said like, he's making the comms very, there's like multiple people talking all the time, which is kind of an issue. They said, but like that's a better issue to have than the hey, what are we doing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because like when they were playing Academy, it was like Treats and Speaka were very much the two people who were like, okay, let's do this, and like the team would like follow everything they were doing, right? So
Personally, I don't give a shit. TSM can burn still, but if I was to be hired randomly, I would have been like, Bjergsen, Doublelift, none of you are allowed to play. Go to the coaching role. I want you to both do theory crafting on team compositions that you think are
Positional
good.
coaching type of thing.
Yeah, be analytical coaches because you'll both have a better take on the top side and bot side metas for things. Speak ever building around you, and literally just have an academy team as your main LCS team and have a 2-3 year plan. Don't have a 1 year plan, 2-3 year plan.
So what's your team? Who do you bring in?
No, just take a bunch of academy players. Just academy players.
Essentially, pull a Cloud9 and like find good players and grow them.
Yep.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
why
that's what they're doing with Speaka.
TSM didn't make Worlds for 2 years in a row. Made Worlds the third time, like after 2 years, and then, shat the bed as if they never made it to Worlds. So like, I would say that opportunity should have been an opportunity to just straight up grow a team instead of importing a team or buying a team.
Like I know that when they got Broken Blade, they're like, oh, he's Bjergsen 2.0. Like everyone was making a bunch of parallels of like he's a young talent from another region and like they'll bring him over and he'll be great. And it's like
he was great in Turkey.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I don't think Broken Blade's not a bad player, but like part of me is like I don't know if he's worth the import slot. Honestly,
I don't think he was worth replacing Hanser.
That too.
Yeah, that too. Well, when does he get residency though?
It's like 3-4 years for residency. It's a lot.
Yep.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh. It has been a few years though.
No, Broken Blade's only been here for a year.
He's been here for 2 years.
2 years? Oh, sorry. It's just being 2 years. Well, like Impact only got resident like what, last year?
2 years ago.
No.
Yeah, because he was here before the residency rule came in.
Then who's the big player that recently got Oh, Jensen.
Jensen.
Yeah.
Jensen. Anywho, I don't think there's much more we can add to this.
NA frustrations.
I think FlyQuest will probably surprise. Probably, big probably. Right, like their only matchup that they have to win for sure, 100% guaranteed, is DRX, and then they have to beat QOL in a more convincing fashion, and then like there's a chance. Question marks. But I'm not holding my breath.
Honestly, I'm like I don't even care if FlyQuest like literally doesn't get another win. Actually, no, they should win against unicorns. But if they don't get a win against top or DRX, I'm not gonna fault them. Like,
I'm gonna fault them. DRX is not looking strong.
again, it's
Oh, it's 8 of last 12 splits.
here or
it's-
there.
Yeah, it is 4 years.
What?
Sheesh. 4 years for residency. Yeah, it's a long time.
You have to be 4 years for residency.
Yeah.
Anywho, I think that's about all that we have for the day. Those who are watching, thank you again for all of you that spent the time to watch. We really appreciate it. Let us know in the comments how you thought, how terribly you think TSM performed, and do you think FlyQuest has got a glimmer of a hope? Not at
Is
all.
FlyQuest the new Cloud9?
FlyQuest the new Cloud9 from Cloud9 2.0? Let us know. And leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you as a change because of scheduling things. We'll be recording the reactions from tomorrow's games on Monday, pretty early in. So we'll see you all on Monday.
Peace.
Bye.